May the meditations of my heart and the words of my lips be acceptable to you, O Lord. I wonder if you can remember the last time you were granted forgiveness. What had happened that needed forgiving? How did you feel at that time? Disappointed? Remorseful? Agitated? Did you ask or plead for that forgiveness? How did that make you feel? How long did you have to wait for forgiveness to be granted? And how did you feel whilst waiting? Nervous? Uncertain? Upset? And once forgiveness had been given, how then did you feel? Relieved? Thankful? Loved? I wonder too if you can remember the last time you granted someone else your forgiveness. What had they done that needed to be forgiven? How did you feel at that time? Anger? Resentment? Bitterness? Had they asked or pleaded for your forgiveness? Had you hesitated in offering it? What made you hesitate? And how did you feel after gifting your forgiveness? Relieved? Thankful? Loved? Forgiveness is something we can sometimes shy away from talking about. I remember when my faith was still in the early stages, being questioned a lot about forgiveness, what it truly meant to forgive everyone, because that's what being a Christian is all about, right? I always found that these questions went to extreme cases very quickly, normally involving a serious crime being committed against a member of my family. And they are, of course, right. Forgiveness is a big part of our Christian faith. Each time we say the Lord's Prayer, we are praying for the forgiveness of our own sins, whilst we forgive those who sin against us. In today's Gospel, we hear of the parable of the unforgiving servant. The servant stands before his Lord and pleads for forgiveness, as he could not pay the debt owed, 10,000 talents. When I looked to see how much this was, I found varying different amounts, but all could agree it was unrepayable. Out of pity, his Lord forgives him of the debt and releases him. The servant then runs into another servant in the household who owes him a debt of 100 denarii, significantly less than the debt he has just been freed from. When this servant pleads with him, as he had done with his Lord, he refuses to grant the forgiveness that was gifted to him, which was then subsequently taken away when his Lord heard what he had done. The size of the unforgiving servant's debt was unrepayable, and yet his Lord was able to grant him complete forgiveness, a forgiveness that he was not then able to pass on to a fellow servant. When I was reading Tom Wright's commentary on this passage, he reflected on forgiveness being like the air in our lungs. In order to let a certain amount in, we need to let the same amount out. The amount of forgiveness we receive should be the same as we gift to others. Our lungs are not capable of holding any more air if they first do not release some. So too are we unable to receive forgiveness if we have not released the same amount. Think back to the start when you reflected on a time when you were forgiven and a time you forgave. Did you gift the same forgiveness that had been gifted to you? Sometimes it can be difficult to offer forgiveness. We spend time justifying to ourselves why they do or do not deserve it, whether we can truly forgive and forget. But forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. Forgiveness is making a conscious decision to release the negative feelings we feel towards someone, those feelings of anger, resentment, and bitterness. As God forgives us all of our debts, no matter how great, as the Lord did for his servant, then, unlike that unforgiving servant, we must completely forgive those debts against us, no matter how great they are.